Great Mythos.
It is the return of the Jedi, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, Season 2, Chapter 16. It's the great finale. And friends, we are gathered here today to talk about what is maybe the best Star Wars of the last decade. Maybe I'm biased. I don't give a rip right now. David with you, my friends, Josh and Andy. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this this Monday morn? No, Friday morn. I don't know what the hell this life is right now. This is my third shirt this morning. In fact, this is my third shirt and my second pullover that I have on.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin, David. I'm mentally exhausted in a very, very good and joyous way. I'm just overwhelmed. And it's just the greatest feeling. It's such a cool feeling, like to be in this moment right now as a Star Wars fan, to kind of feel it. Like I'm one of those like smell the roses guys sometimes. And I think that's what we got to do. We just got to be happy. I know there's going to be hate down the road for some dumb reason, because that's just the way it is, law of averages.
We are celebrating in this moment.
Yes.
We are celebrating this moment. Andy, have you slept at all since you first watched this episode?
Not much. So last night I watched it with my son, who's 13, and I watched it with Josh, who's like 15.
Older than 13?
Acts just a little bit older than Dash. But and from about the second half of the show on, it was just a series of what? And it just kept ramping up. And then we had this brief pause in the credits where we were just like, I truly didn't know what to say. And then we got the post-credit scene, and it was just like
post-cream. Ew.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's about what I did. But
accurate.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have so much fun in the next hour-ish. We said that we're gonna go max an hour, but it's possible we'll go longer. We don't know. Reminder: we are going live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for our holiday special, our call-in show. We're going to talk about this episode, how it impacts, reflect over the entire second season, and of course, what's in the future. We're going to do a little bit of that tonight. Here's the big talking points. Luke, freaking Jedi Master Skywalker. We're going to talk about the Darksaber. We're going to talk about Grogu. We're talking about season 3 and more, because in the last 9 days, Santa Claus, a.k.a. Kathleen Kennedy, a.k.a. Jon Favreau, a.k.a. Dave Filoni, came through and dropped another gift under the tree for us a little early, and it's called The Book of Boba Fett. So we'll talk about that and a lot more. If this is your first time joining us, this is not a safe place if you have not watched this episode. This is going to be spoiler heavy. We are going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to tell you, we're going to highlight the biggest events, what they mean to us as fans, what we think they mean to the story. There's a couple of deep cuts as far as Easter eggs that we're going to explore. And then, like I mentioned, kind of where do we see us going from here? Because now what? We wait for season 3 of Mandalorian, which probably means we just binge watch season 2 an embarrassingly large amount.
And over and over.
And I can't wait, because now I know how it ends, and it ends great. It's so great.
I've got one of those situations in my household where we watched maybe the first Mandalorian together of season 2 with my girls. I got a household of 3, including my wife, and so they're not as like I'm doing this as kind of a job, right? We got to get on, we got to talk about it. But I said to my wife this morning, I was like, "This is the best Mando ever," because I was still asleep. And she's like, "Okay, well then we'll watch him during the break," because she's a teacher, so winter break. So I'm like, winter break, I get to watch it all again, and I get to like look at their faces, like, huh? So
I feel like today we're the kids, and your kids are the adults in the room going, "What's wrong with Dad?"
He's crazy.
Want to shout out some folks here. We got Steve Hyman in the live chat. Steve, so glad you're with us. We got Frammy. We got Dale. All remaining systems. Andy's at work. You might not have realized that. He probably had to go close his classroom door because he's doing this at work. We got Matthew. We got Blue Harvest. We've got Dan the Man. This is so exciting. So we got some Vader's Girl 28. So we have some new friends, some old friends, and this is really exciting. We're going to have a great time. Sam, Matthew, Corey Allen. Look at this. He says, first time tuning in, excited to watch. Well, we're excited to have you with us. And we also got Pete. So we got a full house here, 26 watching right now. If you can do us a favor, go ahead, share this live stream on your social media. Let's see if we can double the crowd here and get everyone's take on what it is, a miraculous 47 minutes and 13 seconds of Star Wars goodness. And we have Josh, who's going to be throwing up some slates as we go through this episode. But I think we got to start, guys, with the big elephant in the room. And that is the fact that we now know the Jedi that Grogu reached out to on the Seeing Stone just a few episodes ago. It was none other than Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, he is rebuilding the Jedi Order, and he has come across a youngling named Grogu to help him rebuild that Jedi Order. This I think for a lot of fans. Andy, just go. What does it mean to you when you see the X-Wing come across the screen and you see Luke Skywalker slashing down dark troopers in live action Star Wars in 2020? What does that mean to you?
Okay. When we saw the X-Wing come across the bow of the ship, my initial thought was, oh, it's the New Republic guy that we saw before, not the Filoni guy, the other guy. Can't think of his name.
Paul.
Yes. It's him. But at the very same moment that I saw it and thought that, my son goes, I knew it. and because there's this story I'll share on some other time, but he thought it was going to be Luke, and he's 13, right? So and so then it was like, oh my gosh. And then when they said, oh great, one X-Wing.
Yes, that's when my jaw hit the floor.
That's when it was like, they never just have one X-Wing unless it's mother-loving Luke Skywalker. And so it was just like, at that point we knew, and then we saw the robe, and then we saw the all black, and then we saw the green saber, and it was just like a series of holy craps, and this can't be happening, but we're watching it happen. And the thing that kept going over and over in my mind was 1980 Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles? Like, it was just like nothing could wipe the smile off my face, the feeling inside like I was 5 years old seeing Return of the Jedi in the theater all over again. And if this is fan service, oh my gosh, don't stop fan servicing me.
Happy to fan service you anytime, Andy. Be real thorough.
That's well said.
To me, it's, my Star Wars story isn't as long as some other people, right? Like, I think the first time I saw Return of the Jedi, I was like maybe 4. So we're going to say 24 years. I've been wanting to see Luke Skywalker after Return of the Jedi rebuilding the Jedi Order. And yes, is that because I identified with that character? Yes. And is it because I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours rewatching those movies over that time? Yes. And so I am just so happy that this is one of those stories that Jon Favreau talked about 2 years ago, when he's talking about how he's been writing stories for this series since he was a little kid too, when he first saw Star Wars. And he also thought about what Luke Skywalker would look like, sound like, do after Return of the Jedi as a Jedi Master rebuilding the Jedi Order. And I don't have a problem at all with Star Wars getting nostalgic when it's done right. We'll get into it. I don't think that Luke showing up takes the series away from The Mandalorian. I don't think it really diverts the story. We could possibly see Grogu again. We don't know. There is something larger happening right now that Disney is rolling out with this series and the spinoffs. We'll talk about that too in a little bit. But I was like, I recorded myself watching it because I was going to do a reaction. Didn't quite work out. And that's okay, because I don't know if I needed the world to see me crying. But it was emotional. And Josh, I want to know, what was your reaction? What were your emotions? Because I don't see you as a crier. I see you as like a yeller.
Yes, thank you. That's accurate. I'm a yeller. No, I'm more of a like just a pauser, I suppose. But to your point, David, this, and I hate to use this word, but I love to use this word. This could have been, this is a hot take. This could have been The redemption of Luke Skywalker. Oh, this was everything that I wanted to see in The Last Jedi. And I don't hate The Last Jedi, and I don't particularly love it. I thought it was a good movie. But when he showed up in The Last Jedi, when Luke did, I thought, oh, this is his moment. It was cool, but a little bit of it got taken away because he was a Force apparition. This is Jedi Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight, Jedi Master. I don't know where he's at here. You guys could probably tell me.
He's a master.
He's a master. So this is what we saw. And that Andy said this while we were watching, because Andy and I watched together. He said it's his Vader hallway moment. And it's beyond that, because not only was it his Vader hallway moment, it was also a little bit of his Vader moment too. He was pissed. He was going through those things, the dark troopers like water, and at the very last one, he force crushes it, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I mean, that's as dad as you can get right there. And so, like I said, the redemption of Luke Skywalker, the Luke Skywalker we never got to see until this moment, and I can't believe it. I can't wait to watch it again.
I watched this episode 3 times already this morning. Real quick, guys, I want to say a big thanks to Comic Books NYC. $10. Spike my blue milk and call me a womp rat. I'm happy a camper today. Have a good discussion crew. Comics Book NYC, also a proud supporter of Beyond the Blast Doors on Patreon. You can subscribe to Patreon as low as $5 a month. All right, so here we are. Luke Skywalker is here, and he is going to take Grogu to go rebuild the Jedi Order, and he says a few things along the lines of I'll give my life to protect him. We also see the whole slaughtering. It's so easy for us to spend so much time on Luke Skywalker. We're not going to do that in this hour, but I do want to ask you guys because it is relevant. Looks like some de-aging technology. It looks like some face mapping technology used here, where you have a body doing the core. I listen, I would love for it to have been Mark Hamill actually whipping through those hallways, slicing those droids. I don't think that it was, but this looks, I think, pretty good. I don't think it's as crisp as Tarkin in Rogue One, but I think that this is something that can be enhanced over time. Maybe we get that Blu-ray release of The Mandalorian at some point, but I was really happy with it because it looks to me like 5 years after Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker gained a little weight. And because he gained a little weight, he kind of looks like Sebastian Stan if you look really close. And it would work for me. And this is a fan casting, so there's nothing confirmed here. But if Sebastian Stan is going to be Luke in the future, they've really done a nice job here. But I think they've also shown you they can also just use the de-aging technology and swap in faces. And you can have Mark Hamill's likeness. You can have Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. What do you guys think? Josh, we'll start with you on this one.
I'm a little more so when the hood was down, I didn't know what we were going to get. I thought we might get an actor, their actual visage. And when it was an overlay of Hamill, and by the way, I thought it was actually really well done. I think we're getting better and better at this, and that's terrifying. But I was fine that it was Hamill. It does look when you're not in war all the time, you tend to sit down, grab a bite. So yeah, Luke looked a little like he's healthy. That's what I like. He's a healthy Jedi, and I was totally fine with it being Hamill's face. I think that's the only way you could do it. If we do go down like a solo route where we get a new actor, and now we're doing a Skywalker series, then that's okay to introduce that different look. But I think in the moment right now, it was well played to do Hamill. And I hope Hamill feels good about it. I mean, he probably doesn't, because he probably would have rather have been there. Not that he wasn't, I don't know. But I just think it was a really good homage to if we could go back in time and right after Return of the Jedi, things were trucking and we knew we were going to get something else in 2 years like we're getting right now. That's the scene I wanted to see from Luke and from a Mark Hamill Luke. So maybe in the future I can accept a different actor in that role, but thank God it was him this time. It really played well with me.
Andy, was this a situation where you found it distracting, or did you just get completely immersed in the fact that you had Luke Skywalker swinging a green lightsaber on screen?
So, first of all, like in discussing this with Shannon, she says, digital fakes are always tough to pull off. And for me, it's always in the mouth when they're speaking.
Yeah.
Right. When he's still, man, that is Mark Hamill. That is Luke Skywalker. No question about it. When he talks, the mouth is for me is always the toughest thing to get right. But I wasn't distracted by it in the least. No, I mean, not truly, not at all. I knew well, and even in the credits, it credited Mark Hamill.
Yep.
So yeah, 100%. So to what degree? That's I'm not sure. Was that him actually standing there delivering lines, and they just do the de-aging on him while he's doing that? I don't know. Is he wearing a wig so that lines up? And they just kind of brush out the wrinkles and the gray. But Mark Hamill was credited in there as a participant in the episode. So that's when people told me, because okay, so from about 12:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning, my phone was blowing up. Like people on Twitter, people I haven't talked to in years were texting me. That's not a lie at all. In fact, even this morning. But but it was like I mean, I'm going all over the place here, but
You're fine. You're fine.
This wasn't a distraction. I thought that what people were wanting me to stick around for in the credits were to see Mark Hamill's name. And I was like, oh yeah, Mark Hamill. Yes. Glad I stuck around. And then bam, it was like even more. So it just was a high after a high. Like, this can't get any better. Oh my gosh, it just got better. Oh my gosh, it just got better. Oh my gosh, there's R2-D2. Oh my gosh, it just got better. It's like, oh, like it just kept getting better. And I'm the wrong guy to ask, because that stuff doesn't bother me at all, because it's a great effort. It's a great attempt. I think they nailed it. They surprised everybody. This was the Baby Yoda reveal from season 1 at the end of season 2.
Yeah,
so
I think that's true.
It was so worth not knowing. I'm so glad it wasn't spoiled for me. I'm so glad that my circle of Star Wars people got to experience the holy crap moment together.
Yeah, that was huge too, because I fell asleep early last night, just a long day. I get back this morning and I check my phone and I see that we're all texting each other. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go watch the episode and then I'll dive back in there. And I'm so glad I did. And I'll tell you this, Scotty, that son of a gun, Scotty from Bomb Badcats, who will be on the live show with us tonight for the call-in show, 2 hours. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Join us. He goes like, dude, I freaking love Bib Fortuna. And I'm like, what the hell is that about? And he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm like, all right, I'm turning off my phone for the next hour. I'll see you. I'll see you in a bit.
Oh, snap.
So then
never answer a text before an episode.
I watched the whole
That's
episode.
Your fault.
And I'm like, well, there's no Bib Fortuna. What's the big deal? So I start texting Scotty. I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't see anything. And then the credits go from this to like, I'm on Tatooine. I'm like, oh dear Christ, what is going on? And you see the twin sons, and then the pan to Jabba's palace. I'm like, oh dear God, are we getting another spinoff? And then it's like Fennec Shen comes in there, and like Bib Fortuna has really picked on the pounds, like very thick, like his little whatever that is, very gross.
I'm going to coin this right now before it gets out there. Bib more tuna. That's just what I'm going with.
Wow.
He's had more tuna than necessary.
It was
actually, I don't know if you can gain weight with that much protein, but
hey,
whatever.
can I shout someone else out real quick?
Yeah, speaking of more tuna, Rookcore.
$10.
That's our boy. That's a local boy right there.
Yeah.
Not saying anything. He just wanted to give us $10. So we appreciate.
Oh, he's saying something. He said this to Andy. Oh, we love Rookcore. Rook and Titus podcast. They're great guys. So yeah, I'll give him a shout out right here.
Hell yeah, thanks for that. And Phoenix Night Flame, the CGI was a little wonky, in my opinion, not awful, but the brief scene in The Rise of Skywalker was better. Though, was that because it was night and a quick look? Probably. It was a very quick look. But I'll tell you, I like, and that scene was great in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, there's no denying it. But like, honestly, this series gives fans more and more with less to work with. And what I mean by that is it's like you're watching a Star Wars movie. We are watching a TV show that the budget is like $10 million. And what they're doing with $10 million, I made the comment today. It's like, listen, like, I love this whole sequence with the frigate, them flying in and out, crash landing in it, running around in it. Like, it's great. But I want to see like a legit destroyer. And like, I want to see like multiple destroyers. And I don't know if that's unreasonable because I know that they can tell the story. I know how they know how to do the filming and shots and make it like they can put it there, but do they have the resources? And I guess what I'm hoping is that the continued success of The Mandalorian and all these other shows gets them a little extra cash flow for that budget. So we can get something special. Like we'll talk about it later. I guess we're going to Mandalorian season 3. I don't freaking know.
Of course we are. There's no way we're
awesome.
not.
Just freaking
There's no way we're not. I've got thoughts on that too. And whenever, I don't know. And I know Andy has many thoughts. I don't even know where to go with all the thoughts, but I would say season 3 for sure. I talked about this a little bit with you, David, this morning. The name of this series is evolving. It was The Mandalorian. And then we got the Mandalorian, just one dude, and in his circle, he was called the Mandalorian or Mando. And so you're like, oh, that's where the title comes from. By the way, he's a bounty hunter. But then he evolved into the Protector, the Mandalorian guy in his armor evolved too. And now with what's happened at the very end, and this is the problem, and Arzu's right, Luke overshadowed some very important points that we have to hit that happened at the beginning. Bo-Katan basically said, if I help you get this done, you're going to join our cause. And Mando said, that's fair. So, no problem. What did he say? He actually said, fair enough. So he's in. So now we're going to take the Mandalorian from the bounty hunter Mando to the Protector, Din, to an actual Mandalorian. He's going to go back and help with the cause. And by the way, what's the other elephant in the room, gentlemen?
He's got the saber.
He's got the saber, and Moff Gideon kind of laid that out. Like, you can't just give her the saber. She's got to.
You're both pissed. Did you see the fury in her eyes?
Yeah, she's mad.
She's like, shit, you're right.
I know that was it.
It's the Elder Wand. You can't just grab it. You gotta win it. And so I like what Shannon just posted there. It's like said that that season 3 is the Book of Fett, because you know how they do chapters? Well, book's closed on Grogu, so we're opening up another book
right now. That is not the case. These are two separate things. The Book of Boba Fett is most definitely a separate entity than The Mandalorian, because remember, Disney came out and said The Mandalorian season 3 on that Disney call. Book of Fett releases December of 2021. We have a hard start date for Mandalorian season 3, December 25th. 2021. So not only does this mean we have two separate series potentially in December, this also means we're having overlapping Star Wars potentially in 2021. We always wondered if we were going to get overlapping movies. Not the case, but we're having overlapping Star Wars in the next 18 months.
Can I pivot just a little bit here and just let's talk about how well this was handled. And I'm going to put this out there right now. This is my bold statement.
Yeah,
this was handled perfectly. It was handled perfectly from the standpoint that Luke coming in, because I already said this, and could overshadow, but Luke coming in actually softened the blow that Grogu's leaving for a little while. We don't know how long. We don't know if we'll see him again. Grogu is departing from the storyline so that the Mandalorian can continue on down his path. Okay. So, and that's rough because I don't know. They might be kind of like wanting to take it back a little bit. He was too impactful positively. Obviously, it brought in fans from all over the place, but the child Grogu, what have you, Baby Yoda, he was a strong character in maybe the wrong direction. And that's I say that lightly. The wrong direction meaning he's just cute. We just want to see him on the screen all the time, and that's why they made 1,000 versions of him that you can buy from any toy manufacturer, so that like, hey, he may be gone, but you'll have 20 of them in your house. So I think that was handled and by the way, having Luke take Grogu also softened the blow of Luke, because you're like, boom, there's this role. You're okay if Luke takes Grogu away and maybe we don't hear from them, because we know that Luke's story is shrouded. I know Andy's not okay. You're okay tonight. You're okay today, but you want to know more. I get it. And I think we will. We just don't know how that falls in the timeline, since, you know, the temple that Luke had with Kylo was a different experience, and Grogu, we don't know if he was there or not. We didn't know he was in the temple of the youngling, so we don't know if he was in the temple with Kylo, right? So I just thought that, let me go back to my original point. I thought it was handled very well. I thought that it put, and Boba, by the way, like, I'll drop you off, and then boom, he hyperspaces out. This is like, boom, he's gone. I'm sure you'll get that cruiser. Boom, he's out. You know, he didn't even hang around like for cover fire. He's
Can we pivot to that? Because I think that how this episode opens up in general is just exceptional. From beginning to start, yes. Josh, to your point, it was handled really well. Andy, I'm really excited about your perspective on this, because the way this episode opens is, the plan is we are going to hijack this Lambda Tidarian shuttle that has Pershing in it, and we're going to use that as a decoy to slide into this light frigate that's carrying Moff Gideon and our Imperial bad boys. And the whole concept of Boba Fett attacking the Toydarian shuttle, landing into it. I love the sequence where these TIE fighters are blasting out of the bay. Like, it felt like you were playing freaking Star Wars Squadrons in a way. But Andy, does this plan work for you? What was it like as you make your way through this basically this heist? I thought it was just so much fun. It was Star Wars.
So immediately seeing a Slave One chase an Imperial shuttle.
Yes.
Yes! Like, that's how we're kicking this off. Okay. And that was so rad, because it looks, at this point, those shuttles look kind of old. You know, they're and it looks exactly like the toy. Like, exactly like the toy. And to have that, that right there. I mean, you see the little knobs that stick out on the side and the little rotating guns on the wings.
Yep.
It flopped up. That is exactly the toy. And so, of course, that speaks to my heart. And to see shuttle Tidarian class shuttle go in disguise for the good guys once again is a Return of the Jedi teaser for you that we're going to get later. And so I loved it. I loved how they got Pershing, and how Pershing is not necessarily a good or a bad guy. He's a pawn. He's a tool. Maybe he had to be used in the way that he was used reluctantly. I don't know. But to see Slave One parked next to Bo-Katan's Mandalorian fighter next to the shuttle, like, that was just a little toygasm that I had right there. And I want to point something out. Forgive me for going backwards here for a second. But there was the chat. The chat was saying something about how Sabine just gave Bo-Katan the saber in Rebels, and how that doesn't really fit. But I'm a little surprised that Bo was the one who gave Din the hard time for holding on to the old ways, the ideological Mandalorian ways, and kind of gave him crap about it. And yet she's having a conflict about how this Darksaber has to go from one hand to the next because of legend.
I think I think that's perfect. I think it's perfect because everyone's conviction is always, I mean, look, I don't want to get too deep here, but from a religious standpoint, any religion will be happy to tell you what you should do, but they're not very happy to admit what they're doing when it kind of conflicts that's what I'm saying. She's like, keeping your helmet on. But
that's the thing. He took his helmet off right in front of her at the end of that. And I'm
just saying that is the issue with creeds. They're super judgmental until they apply to you.
Well, that's exactly what Bill Burr said, and that's I mean, in the last episode, that's the exact point that he was making.
Exactly.
And it's the same, for that as it is when Mike Tyson says everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So, I mean, it's the same. It's the same. It is absolutely the same. You can have all of your things mapped out and planned, and I'm going to do this, this, and this. This is how I'm going to do it. But as soon as boom, you're confronted with something that challenges you, like all of a sudden, all that goes out the window. Your priorities change. You focus on what's important, and then you start measuring. Well, what is important? What actually matters? What do I really believe? And so that. To me, all that ties together, and I love it. And
it's conviction. It's conviction versus convenience. So the convenience of the time will or lack of will alter your conviction. Will alter your conviction. That is something I believe in wholeheartedly in the humankind, and obviously it applies to this galaxy too. It's convenience over conviction. Whatever works for you is what you're going to go for, despite your conviction. So there you go.
I totally agree with you, and I think it's what we touched on last week, which is the deeper layers of the series. And I think when Star Wars is at its best, it's having those kind of philosophical confrontations. It just has this aesthetic of lightsabers and Jedi and the Empire. It's really cool. And honestly, another example in this episode, Moff Gideon almost commits suicide to show his loyalty to the cause. Now, luckily, Cara Dune comes in there, boom, pops him one. So maybe we get a little an interrogation scene in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Let me pause you there. Do you think that arc, because Cara Dune said, "I want him alive. He's got a lot of information."
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Gideon arc goes over to the Cara Dune Rangers
of the New Republic?
Do you think that kind of carries over, like
near you?
And who, by the way, is the enemy? Is it the Empire and I'll play dumb right here. You guys are the experts on this. Like who is Bo-Katan taking the throne back from?
Well, I think that's really interesting, and I don't know if we've really explored that much, Andy. But part of me thinking like, what's Crimson Dawn at this point in the timeline? Because
and maybe that's it. Oh my God,
Boba Fett gets back on that throne, and is that throne any relations to Crimson Dawn? I don't know. I can't translate the stuff that was on the throne. I'm sure someone's done that by now, but I mean, that was where my head's going. Like when we last see it, isn't it Maul that's like completely shattered the planet?
Well, yeah, and then the Empire wiped it out like completely. So I think what you're going to see with the future of Mandalore, this projection, is that it's like a scattered people that now will come back. That the planet is in ruin and desolate, and they will come back. Kind of like let me. This might be a weird dot to cross here, but
do it
in WALL-E, planet Earth, just absolutely destroyed. But then they come back and they're gonna re-inhabit it and make it.
We have a WALL-E reference. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is how deep we go in the Star Wars universe.
Really well done,
connected all the way back to WALL-E.
But that's what I mean. I don't think anyone's taken it over and it's under anyone's thumb necessarily, or crime lords are running around with it. I think it's just been desolate. I think it's a wasteland that like when the Romans would conquer other peoples, they would pour salt in the field so that they couldn't grow anything there again, and so they'd have to go somewhere else. They just laid complete waste to the planet. And now with the saber and with the lineage that she has, a claim to be a leader of Mandalore, she can rally the troops again. So they can start making it a place again. Now that's going to come in conflict because Mandalore is fractured. There are different groups. There's the Death Watch. There's the there's Night Owls. Night Owls. Yeah, there's different factions, and maybe that's the conflict, trying to unite everybody, William Wallace style. I'm pulling in references everywhere here.
So tonight, everyone, go home with your kids, watch WALL-E and Braveheart in that
order. And then
order.
watch us, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. All right. I want to throw this real quick out in the live from the live chat. The end, Stu, my buddy Nick, he says the second to last episode was a test to see how they can show how the show can work without Baby Yoda as an active character, and it worked out really, really well.
I agree.
Like
See, that's what my point was. Like, they did it right.
Steve Hyman in here saying, I hope that post-credit scene was Grogu meeting little Ben. Also, how in the blue hell did Bib Fortuna survive Jabba's sail barge?
We don't know. I called it a escape skiff.
Just crazy.
Well, and if you think about it too, and our friend Mark shared this picture with us too, and I didn't see it right away, but Reese and Squidhead were also in the new throne room, which I thought they were on the barge as well as one of the backup singers from the special editions. Also was the spiky red-haired gal. And so like they pulled the people that Jabba's palace didn't change a whole lot in the last 5 years, except that Bib Fortuna kind of assumed his role as the guy who eats a lot of frogs, and now there's a throne on top of Jabba's throne, which was kind of cool. And there was some writing behind it. I want to know what that writing is. Thank you, Sam. Good to see you, buddy.
We got a super chat there.
Yeah, and
Sam's here. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Better late than never. And so, so just that whole end post credit scene, just it was too much. I need to go see it again. I haven't watched it a second time.
Are you guys ready? You guys want a little shot?
I'm overloaded. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh my God, yes. Thank you.
Boba to the fans reestablished himself to us as viewers as the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy, and then in this episode with the dialogue back and forth between him and Bo-Katan and him and the Sasha Banks character, I forget what her name is, but it's starting to reestablish him to other people that he is still the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy. And now moving forward, we are going to see him show us to everybody in the galaxy now that he is back, and he is still one bad mamma jamma.
And so Andy, I just got to throw out there that's a good point, because they made a very a strong point in the beginning in the bar scene. You know, you got to have a cantina scene in every Mandalorian episode. I'm okay with that, but but that's what they said. They said, you know, Bo says not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters, which I thought was an excellent distinction based on, you know, kind of what we may have perceived already, because we kind of did have, and they kind of called Boba on the carpet too, like you know, you're a disgrace to that armor, and
they called him a donor,
which is crazy. Yeah, his dad, the donor. And I've heard your voice 1,000 times.
But
my gosh,
this will be the last one that you hear.
How about you'll be peeking through a back-to-tank window or whatever she said. It was just like this most like,
so
and
good.
I think that was, again, well played. Like, okay, Boba comes in, we had him pull up his wrist history, you know, the chain code, boop, pops up, and you're like, oh, maybe Boba could be considered Mandalorian, because his father Django was I love that shot. His father Django,
why?
He was the donor, but we don't know what his creed was before that. Everything that came after, including Boba, were clones, but maybe he was a Mandalorian. So maybe every clone ever created through their bloodline was a Mandalorian. So, but what I said was that point right there, this whole fight separated Boba from the Mandalorian, even though he has Mandalorian armor. And then you drop him on a throne. Oh,
that's the thing. Boba, he doesn't give a rip.
He doesn't.
He gave it right back to him. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he doesn't care. And you know what? That's why he's the baddest man. Because like, you can say whatever you want to him. You can try and take him out. He'll put up his dukes, you know. And now he showed it to us as the viewers. Now he's going to show it to the galaxy.
Well, and what a great moment here to take a moment and pause, because Jeremy Bullock unfortunately died recently. Yesterday. He lived I mean, it's all relative, right? But he lived a good long life, and we're sad that he passed, but glad that he could see his character that he brought to life literally at the top of the Star Wars world right now. Like, there's not a character that there's more buzz around right now because the epic return in The Mandalorian. We now know that there is going to be this spinoff series. I mean, like, I guess theoretically, I wish he could have been with us for a couple days longer so he could have seen that reveal. But I wonder if he knew it. Like, he goes out knowing that for decades, he gave a lot of his time to fans because he was the guy in the suit, and his subtle gestures in a helmet and a body armor went very far into getting guys like you, Josh, and you, Andy, and me, and a lot of people may be watching this right now, into loving this character and wanting more of this character, and to grind it out at all those cons, and now all these years later, this character is getting so much love. I think that's poetic in a way. You know, it rhymes. And
the redemption of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool, and it bummed me out when I learned that he died. But then, like, I've talked about it, and I think I've talked with Pete about it. I mean, we've all talked about this. I hope you've made this correlation. Is this like this guy gets to see like that character lives on, and he is part of that legacy. So he's always with us, which is, I think, a really cool thing. People are talking about it right now in the live chat. So I think it's really cool that people are recognizing that. So much more than just an action figure.
For a guy that didn't have a lot of screen time, and he didn't actually voice any of the lines, he was a guy in a costume, right? He meant a great deal to me as a Star Wars fan, as a collector. And I never had a chance to meet him, but he was the very first autograph I sought out as a collector because of what he meant to me. And by all accounts, a very sweet man. And to do it for as long as he did, being so generous with his time at cons, at things, Star Wars related, because that is really what he is known for. It's really amazing to me. And I really hope and pray that he knew about what was happening with Boba in The Mandalorian, and that he knows, or that knew beforehand, that he was going to continue through Tamira Morrison in the next. I mean, that to me would seem like it would mean a great deal to him, and it would mean a great deal to me as a guy who really was impacted by the Boba Fett character. And so I hope he knows and is looking down and can feel the love, because he meant a lot to a guy like me.
Yeah, and Andy, first off, thanks for sharing that story with us, because I know I don't know exactly, but I have a good idea of what Star Wars in general means to you, and to learn that story, I think, is really special. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. I wanted to throw this out there. Are you crying?
You're crying.
Oh, I'm crying. Okay,
I'm not crying. You're crying.
I cried watching this episode. I'll tell you that much. Live chat is doing absolute, just having a great freaking time. I love this. A lot of love right now for Mr. Jeremy. So that's fantastic. If you have a chance right now, real quick, how are you watching our Star Wars conversation? Snap a photo on your phone if you can and tweet at us. We want to know how you're watching this entry of Streaming Star Wars as we roll on with 33 people with us in the live chat right now. A lot of new faces popping in and out. So hopefully that means a lot of folks joining our Star Wars conversation here on Beyond the Blast Doors. We got JLS Comics. I'm sure Mr. Jesse is freaking the freak out about this episode. So glad to see you with us. Also, All Remaining Systems has this tweet, and I want to shout this out because Sasha Banks was a little mischievous. She said that she was not in The Mandalorian anymore, and we would, she hoped to be back. Okay, little dodge that. Sasha Banks' Boba Fett fight was awesome. She finally got to show off some of those wrestling moves. Yeah, and I thought, and it was like really believable. Like, she whoops Boba's ass. So that was really slick.
I just love these are the little things that just make me so happy. I mean, the adeptness that the Mandalorians have with their jetpacks, and to use them in the moment like this, I'm going to hit this post and I'm going to use that to propel me to drive this imposter down to the ground. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's such good, I don't know, creativity, I guess, is, and even that word's not creative enough for what they're doing there. It's just awesome. I love it.
You guys indulge me. Go ahead, John. Andy.
I wanted to mention something Shannon said to us. Said that Boba Fett talking with psychic powers in the Sarlacc pit is now canon, with the Sasha Banks character making a comment about, we aren't psychic. I mean, that is it's a super deep cut. Super deep cut. But
I loved it when she put that up.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you to Shannon and I believe it was her wife that found that recalled that and was like, it's like cheapers.
Just a reminder, you can always follow us on Twitter at B2BD Star Wars if you're interested. Mark Hamill just tweeted out 9 minutes ago, seen anything good on TV lately? Can you imagine his Twitter inbox right now, guys? There has to be hundreds of thousands of notifications.
Let me ask him real quick.
Yeah, can you text him and let us know?
Use his direct line, not
Give me 1 second.
The secondary one, not the primary.
I mean, not to boast, but both Josh and I have had him like our tweets before. So
he's liked my tweet. I found one of the
Saber. That was Mick Hamill.
No. I found one of the original. It was a collector in my last city.
Mark
he had
Hamill,
one of the lightsaber hilts from Star Wars, the Star Wars set, like 1977. And I tweeted him. I was like, "Hey, this look familiar?" And he's like, "Hey, where'd you find that?" And I thought that was great. I thought he played along. It was really cool. I just wanted to fit in. I also wanted to throw this out. This is kind of cool. I wanted to ask everyone, how many times have you watched this episode already? I admitted 3 times, and it'll be 4th tonight. And we have an interesting spread here. We have people admitting they've already watched it 5+ times, which I'm almost worried, but I celebrate you.
Take a minute and join us.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy at this moment. And I hope that everyone can rejoice in this. And I do want to touch on this briefly, which is I've seen some folks, and it's a combination of critics and then just, I guess, casual fans. I don't know. They're being very critical of nostalgia and its role in Star Wars. And I just feel like if anything this year has taught us, it is just appreciate the little things. Like you don't have to be the most serious film critic every time you turn on a piece of entertainment. Like you got Luke Skywalker, you got R2-D2, you got Bo-Katan, you get the Mandalorian, you got Grogu, you got all these great characters, this great Star Wars story that's being presented. I never thought in 1999 when I got my first Lego set of Luke Skywalker in his black robes on the Moon of Endor, right? The Battle of Endor Lego set with his 2 scout troopers. I never thought that in 20 years, or that's not right math, but you know what I mean? Like I never thought that, 20 years. I didn't think that I would see live action Star Wars like that. I didn't know Star Wars could look like this. So I think that people really, please, like, just let yourself enjoy the thing. And I'm so happy. A lot of the reaction that we're seeing here in the live chat and what the engagements that I've had on social media, it is so cool to witness the excitement and that you're just letting yourself have fun with Star Wars. We had our expectations so high for the sequel trilogy, and some of us really enjoyed it, and some of us felt like we got burned. Whatever your take is, that's fine. But right now, this is the Star Wars thing that we're talking about, and right now, I think it's really good. I think you're getting to see Star Wars through all these different perspectives, through all these different directors. Jon Favreau clearly knows how to write good Star Wars, and here you have the culmination in 2 seasons. I mean, you can make a real argument, guys. This is the best Star Wars of the last decade. I
think to your point, David, it's okay. Slow down and become a 12-year-old for a minute.
Yeah.
And where you didn't have, like, I think that it's almost cool right now to try and find the angle that might be like, this is why it kind of sucked. I think that's what's cool. Look, Star Wars isn't cool. It's awesome to us, but if you go back to when it was released, it wasn't received well. All right. It was received well by the fandom, but the critics hated it. Don't be a critic, be a fan. Enjoy what you're viewing here. You can nitpick anything.
Right.
Is nitpickable.
Citizen Kane is.
I mean, you can. There is like that's
no Citizen Kane.
Right. That's like that's why they have debate class in high school. It's like it doesn't matter. It could be the most perfect thing in the world, but you can always have a counterpoint to it, right? So I think you already said it, but I'll say it too. It's just enjoy this moment. I am fine. Look, and we might have reached a point right here where, and I don't want to put words in their mouths, where Dave and John were like, let's give them what they want with Luke Skywalker. We'll give them that one shot. We'll give them the 5 minutes they wanted, the 5 minutes they thought they were going to get in the sequels. We'll just give it to them right now. We'll never see Luke again like that. I'm saying that. I might be wrong, but
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong, but I will never see Luke maybe with Mark Hamill's face on it. I don't know. It might be that transition, but it's okay to just enjoy yourself right now. Be happy with the fact that when you got done with that, you were like going, oh, those moments are so rare. And David, I think you already said it. Those moments are so rare, especially in this where we live right now. It's okay to pull back a little bit and just say, I kind of enjoyed whatever part I did, and then just focus on that. If there was a part you didn't enjoy, don't focus on that.
Absolutely. And Andy, you wanted to add something there.
I did. I know that leading up to this episode, leading up to ever since we saw Grogu reach out, not knowing who he would finally connect with, we knew that he was going to connect with somebody. And there were a lot of people that said, well, Luke is around. He could be one of the people. He's a possibility. I think leading up to that, there were so many people that were nervous that it would actually be Luke that they didn't want it to happen. Like it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Like, okay, I have an idea of who Luke is and what he means to me. And if they screw this up, I'm going to be mad because I love Luke Skywalker and he's critical to the story. And that's some of the criticism with the sequel trilogy. Like their idea of Luke or people's idea of who Luke is and what he should be didn't line up with how he was portrayed. That was Mark Hamill's issue with Luke. And so to see him again or to think about him coming back, it made a lot of people nervous. And it's like, yeah, he's a possibility, but no, that would be bad if it was him. That would be, no, let's not do that because let's have somebody new. Let's have new blood. Let's give all the reasons why we shouldn't do this because it's out of fear. And that's Sith like. That's not being a Jedi. That's what you don't want to do.
Well put. That's why this guy's my buddy,
And so when he actually was there and he very calmly went through all of those dark troopers and he didn't even break a sweat. You know what I mean? He showed up and he was like, it's Luke freaking Skywalker, the way that we always wanted to see him, just like you said earlier. And it was done correctly. Again, the digital face, you can
stop.
You can nitpick with that, but don't.
I still think there's dinosaurs in Jurassic Park from the 90s.
Exactly.
Come on.
Enjoy. Oh my gosh, just enjoy what we just got because it wasn't screwed up. It was awesome.
Can we take another step back too? Because I think this is really important to mention. And think about when we first learned about The Mandalorian and Jon Favreau at Star Wars Celebration Chicago is talking with the audience and talking with anyone joining on that online stream too about how he's been writing these stories since he was a child and since the first time he saw Star Wars. And so these were stories that he's been developing in his mind for decades. And so he, like others, wanted to see what Luke did after Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And he imagined that for decades in his head. And you know what? I bet Dave Filoni has too. And I'm sure that Kathleen Kennedy's held meetings about Luke Skywalker. How much is too much Luke Skywalker? Because here's the thing. The same reasons why you have to be careful with Vader, the same reasons you have to be careful with Luke. And I personally, I watched this episode and I see Luke take Grogu off. And yeah, am I kind of curious about how that's going to play out? Am I kind of curious if Grogu was at the Jedi Temple when it was destroyed, which we learn about in the sequel trilogy? Yeah, I am. But now I'm really curious about Din Djarin. And does this Mandalorian bounty hunter, this foundling, does he have a greater story and a greater purpose now? And all indications say yes, because he's now holding this guy that just was taking care of bounties out in the Outer Rim. He's now holding the Darksaber, the saber crafted by the first Mandalorian Jedi, the tool used to maintain power over Mandalore. And we've gotten all these rich stories over the last several years of Mandalore and the Mandalorians and the different sects, the Night Owls and Death Watch and how they've had conflict and the rule of Mandalore. You got throw a little Maul in there for a couple of seasons of Clone Wars. Din Djarin now has a larger story, and that's what we get to uncover. And so I don't want to say, and I don't want people to think that, oh, this takes away from the Mandalorian because all this season was about was getting Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker. No. It's about to show you this is where the fun begins.
This is Star Wars.
We're going on a hell of a ride.
Do you think it's weird that Din has no idea about the Darksaber?
I love it. And it makes total sense, right? Because he's in this like religious, like freaky cult portion of the Mandalorians,
But that
right?
seems like that's why he should know about it, because he's in a super old school, like Orthodox Mandalorian kind of sect. And
yeah.
Yeah, but he's also in the jungle. Like he's in the Amazon jungle, and the rest of the galaxy just discovered him. That's how I feel that their little cliques were. They were very isolated, and that's very common with a cult-like mentality. They take themselves out of reality as we know it, or society as we know it, and they go and hide, and they do their thing, and they believe their beliefs. I'm okay. I can follow that path and be fine with Din's ignorance to what Mandalore really he does. Look, remember, if you want to, kind of support this theory, Din thinks that Mandalorians don't take their helmets off, and Bo-Katan was like, hey, you're kind of a zealot here,
nerd.
Nerd. So I'm okay with Din being naive, because Din obviously works within his own confines, and that's why he was so focused on completing his mission with the child, and he to hell with everything else around him. So I'm okay with Din being naive, and that's fine, because that's a weakness. We need weaknesses in our heroes, and he's got plenty, which is awesome because he overcomes them. To your point, Andy, I don't think it's a big deal that he doesn't know what the Darksaber means.
Well, what I enjoy about it now is that now he has an awkward conflict with an ally now, and
he's got a conflict.
And how is this going to get resolved? Without
I yield.
Yeah, he's like, right here, take it.
Take it.
The deal was that it's yours. This is. I'm holding my end of the deal.
Could we see Din evolve into maybe that power takes him a little bit? Like at first he's like, no, just take it. And then somebody explains. And then maybe Death Watch comes in and is like, what do you have? And then his group comes back and is like, wait, you got what? And they know a little bit. We didn't teach of that because it is untalked about or whatever.
We thought it was lost, Yeah.
We thought it was lost. We thought that, the imposters had it. I mean, could you imagine Din then getting a little power trip with this? And so then, that's why this is so much fun, is because I'll say it again. Grogu was removed to pave the way for Din. I think that's the honest truth. Grogu is gone for a little while. I think he'll come back.
What's the name of the show?
Exactly.
The Mandalorian. It's got to stay about Din.
I like this. Sam says, can we talk about Pedro's performance in that last scene? Fantastic. Yeah, I would say removing that helmet. Pedro does so much with his face, and it's maybe because we haven't seen his face much this show, but there is so much tension and pain conveyed here. He loves this child, and now he's doing what he must. This is the mission. This is the way. He must give Grogu to the Jedi. And I think this episode and last episode are my favorite Din episodes.
Can we talk about how Din, did you notice this? It's maybe panning back. It's panning back, and you have, Din and Bo-Katan and the whole crew. It's panning back as Grogu is walking away with Luke in this scene right here.
Mm-hmm.
And Din, and I didn't get the clip because you can't get the clip without video. And Din does this. Yeah, it's okay. He gives him that it's okay, and that like broke me a little bit because Din's not thinking again. He's not thinking about himself. He never has. He like a parent. He's doing what's right for the kid, and he gives him that like, you're cool. It's okay. And that was like, it makes me want to. It breaks me up right now because it's such a powerful moment, and that's why. To the point. Let me finish. To the point of what's his who posted that performance, that little nod conveyed so much that I'm good. All right, Andy, take it away. Sorry.
So that teary nod is it for those that are parents. You experience it at some point when your kid is just old enough to go to school, his first day of school, or they go away to summer camp for a week for the first time, and you're not gonna. I mean, for like a week, and there's that moment where it's like it's gonna be okay. You give them that nod, you give them that reassurance. they're branching, they're experiencing something new, and I found that very relatable. But here's what. Okay, so it had to be Luke. It had to be Luke, and here's why. It had to be Luke because Luke was the one Jedi that thought attachments were okay, and Grogu clearly had an attachment to Din. Ahsoka said as much, and that's why Ahsoka wouldn't touch him, because she was old school Jedi. She was Yoda. She was Obi-Wan. Attachments always end up bad.
Anakin.
Well, Obi-Wan too. He could have had one, but
I know, but Anakin fell for the attachment, and it became his ultimate demise, right? So I'm helping your point.
Yeah, she's burned by it. So who is the one Jedi that thought that the attachment to his father was the one thing that saved him? It's Luke Skywalker. So when he says, when Din says he doesn't want to go, he says he's just asking for permission. He wants to know that it's going to be okay, and I'm the one that's going to cultivate the best out of him. I'm not afraid that he loves you. I'm not afraid that you guys are close or that you guys have a bond. And also, too, not to be understated, Grogu's been around the Jedi atmosphere for a lot longer than he's been with Din. And so to go with Luke is a comfortable move for Grogu, because he is a Jedi. He's familiar with that. He knows, he has an expectation of what that means. It's not, even though he's a stranger, it's not a totally new environment. So if we really sat down and took our feelings aside, which is impossible to do with Luke Skywalker, it had to be Luke. It absolutely had to be Luke, because there was no other Jedi that lined up ideologically with what we've seen in The Mandalorian and what we know about Jedi and attachments, and it had to be Luke.
I think you absolutely crushed it. I think you're absolutely right for that point. I think that was extremely well articulated. I was so scared. I was so scared because I wanted to see Luke, and it's always that caveat that we have as that we have as fans, right? Where it's just like, well, if it's done right, then it's great, but if it's not, it's trash. And to the point that's been echoed here, yeah, I'm so glad it's done well, and it's echoed in the live chat. So many people here having so much fun with it, and yeah, just the fact that Luke plays with attachment and he plays with the dark. I always wanted to see Luke with his alchemy kit playing with the dark side of the Force post Return of the Jedi, and here he is wrecking. And just like the fact that he takes the time to go up to one of those Dark Troopers and literally squeeze it from the inside out using the Force. And so also, cool. Okay, Luke Skywalker doing that dope ass move where it's like he's coming down the hallway and he like uses the Force, he slides, spins around on one knee, comes up and takes out the other one, which kind of reminded me of a move that we see Luke do in The Last Jedi there at the end with Kylo.
It is.
Like, that is Jedi Master Luke Skywalker up on your screen.
And that's
awesome. Well, David, hold on, Andy. We've got a quick super chat that you guys might want to answer. Sorry.
Woo! I really wish the face reveal was this final episode. Took a little bit of the emotion out of it. Still incredible either way.
I think maybe he meant wasn't. I'm trying to decipher this, but it's still a good comment. I
think he said he wishes the face. He wishes that Din Djarin's face was not revealed until this episode.
For some reason, I was thinking Luke's face revealed. Thank you. No, actually, I don't disagree wholly with this, but I do think that in the moment, with that's why I'm sorry. That's why I think Grogu disappears for a little bit, and I shop this theory, and I'll put it out there as quick as I can.
Do it.
Grogu may have been in stasis after leaving the Jedi Temple. Oh. So while he was 50. He wasn't growing because he could have been, we'll say carbonite or wherever he was. He could have been in stasis for the years between. His pram might have been his little incubator. And then, so we might see Grogu while we think how does he age? He's 50, he's still a baby. So what is it going to take another 100 years before he becomes an adolescent? No, I think we could assume that he was in stasis, and that the next time we see Grogu, let's say 3 years, 4 years down the line, he's evolved, physically.
Stunted, he's stunted, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's not a bad take. We might not see Grogu in season 3 because they might be holding him for season 4, and that's where Grogu comes back as a teenager with
What
a
about
lightsaber.
this? What if Luke teaches Ahsoka about attachment? Dale says he might die, but Dave Filoni could do it. I think it would be incredible.
Wow.
I think it'd be critical if you saw a Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano and they're having some kind of connection about like the son of Skywalker is able to tell the Padawan of Skywalker, I brought him back.
Right.
That's
right.
That's powerful.
And Pete brought that up this morning that now Grogu is the connection between Ahsoka and Luke, and so so Luke now will know that Ahsoka's out there.
Yeah, Grogu will narc her, Alf.
Yeah,
Grogu will.
And you got to think that at this point, if Luke is out there, Ahsoka knows who he is.
Yeah.
Even if they've never met. So now there's something that connects them together, other than just being,
Can we talk about all the clues and maybe how we overthink things too much?
Oh.
I mean, all the clues. Let's talk about season 1 when Boba obviously walks up to Shennick Fan, and everyone knew it. We had the sound effect, but we're like, well, maybe not. And we like to try and second guess ourselves. Then Boba shows up. Can we talk about how Grogu was literally on a seeing stone, which is the final stone that Luke was on in the sequels? All the clues were always there, and we overthink ourselves out of believing it. I love it so much.
Well, and Josh, it just goes back to what I thought, that it's based out of fear, because they don't want things that they don't want things that they love to get screwed up in the next generation, and they might have felt a sting with that already in previous Star Wars content. So it's like, okay, for me, just seeing at the end of the first episode this season, Boba Fett turn and walk as the screen, pans away. That was it. That's all I needed. He's alive. He's out there. That's all I needed.
Right. Don't scare me anymore. Don't scare me anymore.
I don't need any more. Thank you. We know he's alive. And I am so glad that wasn't the end of it.
Oh my gosh. Because
it was so good. Oh, so good.
We can't have this without that. All right, man. David, you need to take this. You need to take this back, because now this is becoming just Andy and I talking to each other.
But here's the thing. We have the opportunity, and it's why we're doing 2 live shows a day, is because this is our opportunity to talk about spoilers. I'm kind of like amazed, and honestly, I'm rethinking social media in a lot of ways. Folks just are so quick to throw out spoilers, and if the mentality really is, okay, buyer beware, if you're coming on social media, you just need to accept that there's gonna be spoilers. Well, then damn it, I might open the floodgates sooner next time. I don't know, because I just want to be able to talk about this stuff. And now we have this opportunity as friends, as fans, to talk about it. And I love listening to you guys. I love your perspective. You guys were talking about that scene with Grogu and Luke and Din, thinking about it as parents. Well, I'm thinking about it as being a son and like my relationship with my dad. So I'm not in that stage of life like you guys are yet. And so, I mean, as long as things keep working the way they're working. So, I mean, I'm just, I just.
You want to stay happy? Is that what you're trying to say? You're trying to stay happy?
I'm selfish, damn it. And I don't want some 5-year-old telling me that I got to take him to soccer practice yet. But no, it's, we can all celebrate Star Wars, how it hits us. And I love the line that art is subjective. It all hits us all differently. And so that's why I enjoy doing the show that I do and the network that we have here, the YouTube channel that we have here, and the folks that join us in this conversation, because I like learning people's perspectives. We don't always have to agree. They won't always line up. I mean, in the case, the last hour and 8 minutes, you've listened to 3 men of various ages definitely agree on Luke Skywalker. It's not the most diverse perspective you're getting here. And you know what? And to make amends for it, can we let's talk real quick. Cara Dune, Fennec Shan, and you have Bo-Katan kicking ass throughout this entire episode. Sasha Banks in the cantina, even. Like, this was everything you would want. It was fun. It was great. It was all good.
Let me throw out, because I know, and again, Luke did his thing, and as well he should have, and I think they knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the first act of this episode was so good because it was that conflict between Bo-Katan and what's her name? I want to know the character's name. I don't know. Sasha Banks' character versus Boba Fett, essentially. Casca, something, whatever. They'll tell us in the chat. so I loved that conflict. That's why I took that picture. I like that. Look, the first thing that happened is Boba throws her through a table. She stops his little zip line and then beats his ass, essentially to the point where they flame throw each other. Can we talk about that? We didn't even talk about how we had a flame versus flame.
Yeah.
I don't know in physics if that's how it works, but they actually stopped each other's flames with their own flamethrowers. That's two minds thinking alike. Sasha Banks's character is just as badass in that moment as Boba Fett.
Casca Reeves.
Casca Reeves is just as badass as Boba Fett in that moment. And then now I will detract a little bit and say when they were marching down, the ladies were awesome. And I love how sometimes a laser rifle can jam. Don't get it, but I don't know how it works. And then they're just like, we need to jam Cara Dune's rifle so that she can beat some ass with just the rifle physically. And then boom, she kicks everyone's ass. She's got Fennec Shand doesn't miss. I mean, it's all awesome. That whole scene was, and I said this, without Luke, even though we needed a finality there, a final act, that episode was rad without Luke. So I totally appreciated, I don't know what we call it. I mean, it was just the badass women walking down and kicking butt without any support from Din or any support from Boba. I think it was a good move from Star Wars there, or Disney.
Yeah, the fact that and that they all still have story left.
Yep.
You know, Moff Gideon and Cara, they still have story left that we might see in Rangers. You know, Bo-Katan and Casca, and maybe even Axe Woes, if he comes back around, they still have story to tell. Fennec and Boba have story to tell, and we're going to get some backstory with Fennec in Bad Batch. And so, we didn't lose anybody, really. I mean, we didn't lose anybody, and we have more, and all of these, it's going to branch off into more stories from this spot, and we're still going to get more Din. And, so it's like this was a great finale. Like, it was a great finale. Everything that we wanted. Let me take that back. Everything I wanted. I wanted is still in play. We still have great stories that are going to be told, that are going to happen. And it is, for the first time, is this the best time ever to be a Star Wars fan?
Yep.
I think so, because we have everything behind us. Can I make one point? And then, David, I know we got to get out of here because we have more to talk about tonight. I'm going to make one more point.
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted too.
I'm sweating.
And it's about, look, Gina's acting has been in question, right? And sometimes I lend the actors a little bit of a leeway because of the dialogue. We saw that with Hayden, poor guy. It just wasn't good dialogue. It was hard to get across if you weren't. And maybe he wasn't the best actor, but he was the right actor for that role. Anyway, when she says, they have the shuttle pilots, and he's got the doctor at, with the gun to his head, and he says something about the Death Star, and she says, which one? That was almost the best acting I've seen from Gina. And not only just her line, but her face, because her emotions are changing. Because what does he call her? Dropper. And her emotions are changing because he's basically saying, which again I thought was a great point. Millions died on those star bases, and then he's like, so taking out Alderaan
to the applause of the galaxy. Yeah,
to the applause of the and taking out Alderaan was just worth it. And her face was so. I just want to say kudos in that. If she's developing as an actor, then awesome. I think I saw it this episode, and that makes me more excited to maybe see her in another project.
We got basically an 11-hour movie. This was a comment that we got here. I think he's very accurate. Ryan here says the first 2 seasons were like an 11-hour Star Wars movie. Ryan, you're absolutely right. And welcome to our Star Wars conversation. If you haven't already, be sure you subscribe. Great to see you in the live chat. The last thing I want to talk about real quick here before we get out of here. I know we went long, but we said it at the very beginning.
We did.
We could go long. Last question I want to throw out there. What happened to Dr. Pershing? Andy, what happened to him?
Oh, He's still on the shuttle.
You think he's still on the shuttle? Are we
Right.
holding on tight to him for something in season 3?
He didn't go anywhere.
I think Pershing's on the payroll now. I think he's on the Mandalorian payroll. He will play a part in relocating a Grogu at some point. At some point.
Well, they left that open. They left that open too. I promise I'll see you again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that Pershing will help. Pershing will help relocate Grogu through some strain of he can track his blood through blah blah blah. I mean that's where we're going to go. So I think the doctor's there, and also we have questions to answer from the doctor. If we want to talk about, we haven't talked about Gideon's project, and I think Gideon's project needs to be revealed. And Gideon's project being revealed might play into how the Mandalorian, Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians.
Well, what more do you need to be revealed?
Snoke in a tank. We saw Baby Snoke.
We think we saw Baby Snoke. We don't know that for
watch
sure.
It 100 more times.
But if you go and listen to what Moff Gideon just said in this episode, he said point blank, I needed to test his blood for the Darksaber project.
That was a bait and switch.
I don't think so, man. I think that this.
He was like, take him. I got his blood. Take him, and then he Darksabered his ass in the back.
I don't know, man. I think this Dark Trooper project was phase 3, like Pershing said at the beginning of the episode, and the key to it was the child's blood to elevate it and put a human in that gear.
Okay, maybe a force using human would be a good call, but we're going too deep.
Andy wants to go.
Well, you got your last question. This is my last question.
Do it.
Answer it short. Which was better, season 1 or season 2?
Season 2.
2. Because 2 by a mile.
Everything they did right in season 1.
Ball game.
Everything they did right in season 1, they did better in season 2.
Agreed.
Season 1 was good. Season 2 is great.
Agreed. All right, David, do you have a final question since we all get to ask one final question?
No, I'm good. Everyone's having the best time. JLS. Oh yeah, what ship does Din take to leave? Maybe he's flying the shuttle Tidarian around.
So they take the damn cruiser. So let's make this. Yeah, the cruiser is theirs, by the way.
Cruiser is both.
Yeah,
with TIE fighters, with multiple TIE fighters.
Yeah, they got TIE fighters, they got shuttles, they got everything they need. So let's leave them right here, David. Let's leave them just like this episode, this season left us wanting more, because we got a show tonight and we got more avenues to dive down, and we get to field your questions tonight, which is exciting. So we want to hear from you. When's that show again, David? When's that show?
That is 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm even going to do this much. Boom. This is what you need to be looking for right now. When you go to YouTube right now, YouTube/Beyond the Blast Doors, we have this live stream going right now. We got ABC national correspondent as our special guest, Mr. Clayton, joining us to talk about this episode, this season, this series, and basically everything's on the table. We can talk, and there's so much Star Wars to talk about. We're going to talk about it all. And of course, he's the guy that just a couple days ago, you might have remembered, he dropped that exclusive behind the scenes look at Empire Strikes Back on ABC. That's who we're talking to. Mm-hmm. We're also giving away a Black Series Rebels Ahsoka Tano figure. Looks gorgeous. And we have all on the network gotten each other some surprise gifts, and we'll be unboxing those live on air.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we got each other. I'm pretty excited. I know what one person here has. And you can also be on that show. And that's why we're doing this. And I think this is here to stay. I think we're going to do this every week now, the call-in show, where as long as you have a webcam, a microphone, and a decent enough internet connection, we'll give you the link and you can call in that show. So there's 36 people watching live right now in this moment. We are so glad that you're joining us. Make sure you join us tonight here on your screen. Go here now. Turn on the notifications. Make sure you are the first to know when we go live tonight, and then you can hop on that live call. It will be a lot of fun, and just so thankful that all the crap this year is thrown at us, we all get to talk Star Wars together. Gentlemen, do we need to say anything else?
We do not. I can't wait to see you guys tonight. I'm going to go watch it again, and then maybe again, and then maybe again, and then it'll be time to get on the show. I might be late because I'll be watching it again.
Like Luke once said, may the Force be with you.
I am Bo-Katan, Clan Kryze. I was born on Mandalorian, fought and returned. I am the last of my line.